I own nothing in these stories. Even characters I create in the Sebel universe belong to Disney. Huh? I mumbled as I woke, feeling a cold, what I assumed was a table, against my back. Where the hell? My voice trailed off as my eyes took in the room I was in. Everything was white. Walls, ceiling, floor. Even the clothes I was now wearing were white. The whole place reminded me of a hospital, if everything had been a brilliant, clear white.
Okay, this makes no sense. The last thing I remember was... Again, my voice trailed off as I remembered the attack. Me and my team had been following intel that suggested a market was a front for terrorist operations and, in a break from our SOP, had patrolled the market like a standard unit of squaddies.
That had been a mistake, as the market had been an ambush. I remembered rushing into cover, even as 2 of my squadmates and friends fell under a hail of rounds, and returning fire only to see 2 of the attackers take aim at a school-aged group that was in the market.
In a moment of what could only have been insanity, I disregarded my standing orders and what I'd been taught and rushed to save the group.
I think I had gotten them out safely, even as I felt 3 sharp stabs in my side.
I checked my side but wound no wounds, not even a bruise, and I gulped.
I died. This is heaven.
Incorrect. What the? I mumbled as I saw the strange floating text that appeared in front of my eyes, no more than 6 inches away from me. I absently waved my hand through the text, but nothing happened. So this is not heaven.
Correct.
I frowned at the new message, the old one shrinking and moving down to the lower right corner of my vision. I turned my head and found that the new text stayed in the center of my vision while the old one kept to the corner.
Weird, I muttered to myself. So if this isn't heaven, am I dead? Yes. Fuck, I growled, and sat up. I noticed that the table I had been lying on was white, just like the rest of the room, its edges rounded to avoid cuts. So where am I? What the hell is this place? Congratulations. As a winner in the multiversal afterlife lottery, you have been chosen to live a new life in a universe of your choosing with unique gifts. Based on your previous life, we have selected the following 10 universes for you to consider for your new life. A Song of Ice and Fire, DC Comics Dragon Age Elder, Scroll Shallow Harry Potter Mass. Effect Marvel, Extended Universe Star. Trek Star Wars. If none appeal, you can suggest another, and if it exists, we will allow you to select it. What? I shouted as I fell backwards off the table. None of those are real.
Correction. None of them are real to you, but all do exist in the multiverse. Your reality, like others, has the ability to glance into other realities. These glances have allowed writers to create stories that mirror events that happened in those worlds.
I blinked and stared at the newest text in disbelief. Oh, okay. Are those my only options? I slowly asked. I was still not sure if this was real, but I felt a need to at least play along, until I learned more about what was really happening.
No. AS stated, those are just the 10 most likely choices you would make based on your previous life and our own calculations. Do you have another you wish to add to the list? No, not really. I said with a gentle shake of my head. This is just nuts. I mean, I get to live again in a game or story world. That's like some kind of bad fanfiction.
Correct, however. For you it is true. Are you ready to make a choice? Not yet. I replied before shaking my head again. Jeez! I'm having a conversation with floating text in a quasi-afterlife. I chuckled and shook my head once more. How long do I have to decide? Time here is inconsequential. Where we are, simply is. Time does not pass here. Once you have made your choice state, I choose. Inserting your decision. Right, thanks. I mumbled, and the text all vanished bar the list that moved to the side of my vision. This is wrong. I paused and tilted my head with a frown. Wait, why am I not angry, sad, or anything about dying? While here emotion is nullified, this is due to your first unique gift. Player's mind. On-off us max allows the player to calmly and logically think things through. Allows a peaceful state of mind. Grants immunity to physiological effects. Protects against compulsions and external controls. Does not prevent the player from showing emotional responses, only dissipates them instantly afterwards. Note, will automatically turn on when the player is in battle or HP falls below 25% U. Costs 1 AP mini. Wow, wait. You mean, I really am in some type of video game? Incorrect. While you were and will be alive, provided you select a new universe to live in, you are not in a game. However, the powers we are granting you are easier for a corporeal mind to process if they are treated as powers in what you would call an RPG. Well, okay then. I stopped and ran my head through my hair only to gasp. What? Where's my hair? Your hair is determined by your life. As your old one has ended, you currently have no bodily hair. Once you select a new universe, you will be taken to character creation.
Well, okay. This is nuts. I shook my head, and as I examined the list, might as well work through the list. I paused and looked upwards. Could I have a notepad and pen?
There was a small popping sound, and I looked behind myself to see that what I'd asked for had appeared on the table. Thanks, I said to the empty room as I picked up the pen and opened the notebook. Right, time to go through pros and cons of each choice. I wasn't sure of how long I took going through the choices and whittling them down to a final two. I think I'm ready to choose, but I was wondering if it was possible to somehow merge abilities and powers from two different universes. It is conceivable that we could allow it. Only 0.001% of winners ask to do so, though most wish to merge powers that do not allow for easy crossover. Please, state your choice and crossover wishes with reason.
Well, I think I'd like to live in the Star Wars universe, but I also like the idea of being able to do magic, like in Harry Potter or the Elder Scrolls. I was thinking that while the Force is cool, certain magical powers would be possible with the Force, just that I don't recall ever seeing such things in the movies.
Postulating. Analysis of powers in Star Wars and Harry Potter universes complete. Both universes have powers that exhibit similarities to each other. As such, your request is denied. However, the ease with which you could learn Force abilities that mirror magic powers has been increased. It is up to the player to discover these overlapping powers. In addition, the Force is capable of many wonders that most would not consider. And as such, you may be able to create or rediscover abilities not known to current Force users. Is this acceptable? Yeah, I guess, I shrugged. And the room was engulfed in bright light, forcing me to shield my eyes. As the light faded, I slowly removed my arm and peeked. Whoa, I muttered, as I fully opened my eyes. The room had changed, and I was now standing in a room bathed in a soft light blue light, and that there was now a mirror and display screen on the wall in front of me. My eyes were drawn to the text on the display. Welcome to Character Creation, Star Wars Universe.
Here you will take the steps to create your new persona.
Step 1.
Select your given name. Currently, this is Cameron.
Do you wish to change? No, I said, figuring there was no reason to do. Step 2. Select a species, then determine hair and eye color. Examine the list of races, and make your selection.
Holy shit, I mumbled as I scrolled the list, only recognizing a handful of race names. Thankfully, each had a picture or a base male and female form, a short description of the species and their inherent advantages/weaknesses, if any. Almost every advantage or weakness had a number with CCP next to it. For ease and safety, I picked human as my race. While a few of the options were tempting, I wasn't prepared to alter my race without knowing more about the species. What is CCP? I asked aloud, figuring that whoever was in charge would explain. I was surprised when part of the display shifted to show text.
Character creation points. During the creation of your new identity, you have the chance to add special perks and abilities that are considered anything from uncommon to rare within your new universe. You may also add flaws that grant you extra CCPs, though there is no need to take any if you do not wish. As a new identity, you have 10 CCPs to start with. Note.
Certain perks and abilities can be gained later through the spending of perk points, PP.
Okay, I mumbled, as I returned to the choices for hair and eyes. Think I'll keep my old hair and how about green eyes? Hair, wavy light ash brown. Eyes, emerald green. Accept? No, how about a brown-green mix? Eyes, amber green. Accept?
Yes. I guess. Holy shit. I shouted as glanced in the mirror and saw my eyes shift color and hair grow on my head, matching my choices. I ran my hand through my hair and nervously chuckled.
Now that's just scary, I muttered as a small picture of me appeared at the top of the display. Step 3. Determine your initial age. To allow for more control, a new identity can start at 0, 8, 16, or 20. For a human, starting ages vary with species. Chosen starting age is 8. Accept?
Yeah. I guess. I answered slowly. I mean, I don't want to be born again and have to experience that, but starting as a teen or adult means I miss growing up. And I'm kinda curious about how that goes in Star Wars. Step 4.
Determining base stats, of which there are 6. Strength,
Vitality,
agility, intelligence, wisdom, charisma.
Each new identity starts with 5 stat points, SP, to apply as you wish and is granted a further 4 INT/15 SP per level up.
For reaching level 8, 1 level is earned per year. As a childhood, you gain an additional 37 SP.
For comparison,
An average adult human is level 2025. An average human has stat values of around 18 for star vit and agi. Note: a human has a maximum value of 55 for star vit and agi.
Max values vary species to species.
Note: for being granted access to unique gifts and knowledge from your previous identity, you start with a 10 bonus to int and 5 to wiz and sha. Assign initial stats, then press confirm. Warning: leftover SP will be lost.
Bloody hell, I muttered as I saw the left side of the display shimmer to display the 6 stats and a box underneath with each with 0 inside, though there was a 10 under intelligence and 5 under wisdom and charisma. Each box had a minus beside it that I assumed were for adding and subtracting points. Can I have an explanation of each stats? I mean, I think I understand, but I want to be sure.
The right side of the display shimmered, and I smiled as I read through the new text. Stats, and you? Everyone is determined by their stats, but as one of the chosen few, you have the chance to see these values and influence them.
However, what does each mean and what does it influence?
Strength.
Strength measures your character's muscle and physical power. This ability is especially important for soldiers and those with similar careers because it helps them prevail in physical combat.
Additionally, each point of strength grants 2 inventory slots. B will be explained later. Vitality. Vitality represents your character's health and stamina. Vitality adds to a person's hit points, so it's important for everyone but most important for those who are active combat participants.
Agility.
Agility measures hand-eye coordination, agility, reflexes, and balance.
This ability is the most important ability for scoundrels and similar characters, but it's also high on the list for characters who want to be good shots with ranged weapons, such as blaster pistols, or who want to handle the controls of a starship or speeder fairly well.
Intelligence.
Intelligence determines how well your character learns and reasons.
Intelligence is important for thinkers and leaders, and any character who wants to have a wide assortment of skills.
Wisdom.
Wisdom describes a character's willpower, common sense, perception, and intuition. Compared to intelligence, wisdom is more related to being in tune with and aware of one's surroundings, while intelligence represents one's ability to analyze information.
An absent-minded professor has a low wisdom score and a high intelligence score.
A simpleton with low intelligence might nonetheless have great insight, high wisdom. Wisdom is important for characters wishing to be in tune with their environment, or characters who like to gamble. If you want your character to have keen senses, put a high score in wisdom.
Charisma. Charisma measures a character's force of personality, persuasiveness, personal magnetism, ability to lead, and physical attractiveness.
It represents your strength of personality and force of presence, not merely how others perceive you in a social setting. Charisma is most important for politicians and Jedi. Damn, there's no real useless stat. Need to think about this carefully. I examined the stats for a while, before slowly adding points until there were none left.
No remaining stat points.
Are these your final choices? Yeah, I said slowly, and I watched as the stats appeared beside the picture and the bonuses it mentioned were added on.
Step 5.
Perks.
Each new identity has 10 CCs to spend on perks. An additional perk point PP is gained every 4 levels.
While PPS can be saved, CPS must be used up when a new identity is created. You currently have 10 CPs and 2 Ps. Since this is a new identity creation, you can spend your PP on creation-only perks. Please, browse the list below and make your choices. Tap a perk name to see a description and cost. Click the name again to close the information, or click the green box to add to your identity. I whistled as the left side of the screen filled with over 20 perks, though my eyes were drawn to 3 that I tapped to open fully. Force. Sensitive.
You are force sensitive, allowing you to call on the force and learn to draw on its powers. Grants 100 force points FP per level.
E can only be selected on identity creation.
CCP2.
Force. Adept.
You are force sensitive, allowing you to call on the force and learn to draw on its powers.
Grants a greater connection to the force, and all but guarantees that you will be selected as a Jedi youngling, if you so wish. Grants 250 force points FP per level. E can be selected on identity creation, or upgraded to if identity took force sensitive on identity creation. CCP 4 ATYP if upgrading. Force Prodigy.
You are force sensitive, allowing you to call on the force and learn to draw on its powers.
Your connection to the force is immense and marks you out as potentially one of the most powerful force users of your time. Rants, 500. Force points, FP, per level. E can only be selected on identity creation. CCP, 7.
Damn. If I'm understanding this correctly, Yoda, Vader and Luke would be prodigies while most are just adepts. I'm definitely taking one of those two, but I'd better read the rest of the list to see what else could be useful. I spent the time going through the list until I settled on 4 perks. That will do, I murmured to myself as I accepted the 3rd perk.
Notice.
You have selected the following perks.
Force, Prodigy, 7 CCP. Ambidextrous, 21 CCP. Empathy, 12 CPE.
Photographic memory, 2 PP.
Are these your final choices?
Yes. I felt a burst of energy as the perk were added below the stats in my mini picture.
Step 6. Skills. Each identity learns skills as they progress with skills affected by stats.
Each stat point grants a 5% boost to learning speed of a related skill.
Every level up an identity is granted, in TTT2, skill points to spend how they see fit. You are free to transfer any of your old skills over, though they may suffer penalties because of different universe or age.
Each new identity is granted 100 plus level INT*2 skill points SKP during creation.
Skill points can be saved for later use. Please examine your old skills and possible new ones before deciding on a final list. Skills are added to your identity the same way perks were.
Currently, you have 340 skill points to spend. Whoa. While the perk list had 20, the skills list was massive. My old list had about 100 ranging from school subjects that were at various levels, to artistic one like the guitar and singing that I hadn't used in years, to sex skills. Not sure how much use those will be to start, but definitely keeping them for later on. I commented with a smirk. Though the smirk fell after adding kissing when the skill displayed the words locked over it.
Huh, well, I guess that makes sense. What 8-year-old knows how to kiss properly?
I added all my old skills that I thought had any crossover and noticed that a few were lowered due to being younger, or altered in the case of English becoming basic, before browsing the list. There were actually 2 lists, one for skills that seemed to matter and one for what were called knowledge-based skills. These seemed to just be listings of what I knew about various governments, companies, criminal organizations, topographies of planets and history that didn't seem to affect skill checks, and many were prone to falling as information became outdated. I decided to ignore the knowledge-based skills, figuring they could be easily be learnt once I was in universe and looked through the main list. I can't wait to get a lightsaber, but since I'm only 8, there's no point in adding any point to the forms, though a few in the skill to use one makes sense. Having all my knowledge of combat and weapons transfer over was nice, though I imagine I've lost a few levels here and they're due to different tech.
Maybe. Add points to repair or crafting, so I can look after any pistols or rifles I get a hold of. Concentration grants bonuses to skill XP gain, so if I max it out that's a 50% boost to learn other skills. I smirked as I added the points, then increased meditation to 50, since it boosted the regeneration rate of a few things, namely force points.
Right, I think I'll hold on the other skill points and see what need a boost later.
Do you accept your skills? Yes. Skills lock. Notice.
You have 70 SKP left for later use.
To add, simply call up skills in the user interface and tap the symbol.
Changes will become permanent once you leave the skills list.
Notice. You have over 3,000 skill levels. This grants 2 bonus stat points. Do you wish to spend now? No.
Step 7.
The Force. As you are force sensitive, you can learn to use the Force. Each level you are granted a certain number of Force points. The more FP you have, the more you can use the Force.
However, the cost of a power decreases as you become better at using it.
What powers you will have will be determined by your origin story. After completing the prologue, you may have the chance to learn from a Force Master or experiment with your powers yourself. Okay, so why bother making that a step? I asked the display, but it simply ignored me and moved on. Step 8. Origin.
Where do you come from?
Where in the timeline do you wish to live?
These need to be determined before we place you in control of your new identity.
Current timelines in play are Coder era, Old Republic era, Rise of the Empire era,
Rebellion era,
Legacy era,
If none appeal, then you can select a specific time to enter the universe. I really only know the movies and video games, I muttered as I rubbed the back of my head. So why not the Rise of the Empire? I know that and the Rebellion era best.
Rise of the Empire era, selected. Step 9. Bloodlines family. Certain names and families have relevance throughout the galaxy.
Will you be a scion of one such dynasty or just a random someone? Famous choices for family names are
Shan, Sunrider, Skywalker,
Keto, House Ordo,
Organa family,
Antilles family.
Queldroma. Please enter your family name below. Notice. Almost any name may have links to someone in the past, however, in most cases, this will not be critical to your new identity. I looked at the list and chuckled. Well, to beat a Darth, you might need a Darth, so why not Shan? Assuming that Revan and Bastila had children. I typed in my choice. Cameron, Sean. Are you sure? Yup. Name set. Notice.
This bloodline has a specific prologue to play.
You do not have to select that, but it is the suggested option. Will you accept prologue, the lost scion? Sure, why not? I answered with a shrug. Truthfully, I was getting a little bored with creating my new persona, and was hoping that I'd get to leave this place soon. Character creation, finished. Please examine the final listings to be sure.
If you accept, press the green box on the bottom of the screen. If not, press the red box to restart character creation.
The display shifted to show the details that had previously been on the left side of the screen. I noted with amusement that beside my current height, it listed a range that I took to mean my potential final height. I chuckled at seeing my current, old height of 1.84 m was in the middle of that range. I laughed some more at seeing the same ranges were available beside my leg length, hand and foot sizes, and most amusingly, or disturbingly depending on how you saw it, penile length and girth.
I decided to spend one of my bonus stat points to raise strength to 7, thus bringing it in line with vitality and agility, before I pressed the green button.
The brightness in the room increased rapidly, and I had to shield my eyes again. There, new identity created.